Good afternoon, dear students. Welcome to this session. My name is Andrew Mosefe, and I'll be taking you through POL 111, that's Introduction to Political Science. To get an insight into the definition of political science, you will first of all understand some key variables that encapsulates the phenomenon of politics and how it affects governance and our daily lives. You have to define and use correctly all the key words printed in bold, then explain the reconciliation perspective of political parties, discuss the institutional viewpoint of it, explain what you understand by the activity approach, that's approaches to the study of political science, and discuss all the different approaches, Russian school, and all of that. What is politics? Various scholars have defined politics. In different perspectives. But since this is and for the purpose of this class, we will be defining politics, as the process of making uniform decisions applying to all members of a group. That is, the goal of politics is to make decisions, to make policies that will govern a group. A group in this context will be a nation or a state, depending on how you want to interpret it. Politics also involves the use of power by one person to affect the behavior of another person. That is, power is central to the execution of political influence. However, despite the fact that many definitions abound, we can also attempt to organize them into various strands to reflect various perceptions of politics. There are three key perspectives to the study, or approaches, if you like, to the study of politics. You have the reconciliation approach, you have the institutional viewpoint, and you have the activity approach. Now note that each of this school or approaches to the definition of politics is characterized by an emphasis of a particular aspect of politics. Now let us look at the reconciliation perspective. The fact that people in society are of different views, religion, culture, values, and societies is able to accommodate these differences, which led to the conception of politics via the reconciliation perspective. Now, to many political scientists, disagreement and conflict are inevitable in society, but politics provides the framework, that's the platform, upon which an avenue for reconciling these differences. A reconciliation definition of politics, as contended by P.B. Harris, is that one aspect of politics tries to ensure that people can settle their differences. Political scientists consider how people institutionalize disagreements, and this is a very important part of the subject. A number of comments, of course, are spontaneously looked for if you look at the above conception of politics. First and foremost, though we may agree that politics has something to do with conflict resolution, to claim that conflict resolution says all about politics, is to blind one's intellectual eye to other vital areas of politics. Of course, politics represents a diverse interest, of course, and it also encapsulates diverse dimensions as to the study of politics. So you cannot assess politics through one perspective. You have to, look at other dimensions that are available to you. Secondly, the definition of politics in the above direction leaves the student or leaves you with the task of rationalizing the causes of conflicts. Thirdly, the definition is unable to demonstrate whether total or near reconciliation of these conflicts would invariably lead to total or near collapse or absence of politics from society. And finally, this definition does not show us how institutions are able to solve the conflicts without with conflicts of without victims of conflict. So for you to use the reconciliation approach, you know, you also have to try out other approaches which can give you other viewpoint. Of course, the traditional viewpoint concerns the fact that the political thinkers with various types of political institutions, it's not recent. Of course, Plato, Aristotle, Karl Marx, and a host of others said one thing or the other about political institutions and processes, either directly or indirectly. This concern for political institutions partly resulted in the formulation of definitions of politics to reflect the concern for institutions. Furthermore, political institutions represent the most evident demonstration of politics and the political. A major emphasis of the traditional definition of politics is their concern with government and decision making. Of course, in this light, political scientists like Alfred de Grazer contends that politics or the political includes events that happened around the decision making centers of government. Of course, the activity approach. This search, of course, led political scientists to look for activities or behavior that could be said to be political and applied to a variety of institutions and processes. However, the activity emphasized range from power to authority and conflict. Of course, William Bloom defines politics as a social process characterized by activity involving rivalry and cooperation in the exercise of power and culminating in the making of decisions uh, government. So, decisional thinkers, like Karl Marx and the others, actually came up with this school of thought, which has impacted, on the the study of political science. Now, the activity approach, of course, the dissatisfaction with the definition of politics, the emphasized institution of government led political scientists to search for alternative definitions. This search led political scientists to look for activities or behavior that could be said to be political and applied to a variety of institutions and processes. However, the activity emphasized ranged from power to authority and conflict. It is in this direction that scholars like Robert Dahl conceived of politics or the political system as any persistent pattern of human relationship that involves a significant to a significant extent control, influence, power, or authority. Of course, these are very germane and phenomenon in politics. Of course, like I said, uh, control, influence, power, or authority are key aspects of politics. In the same vein, William Bloom defined politics as a social process characterized by activity involving rivalry and cooperation in the exercise of power and culminating in the making of decisions for a group. Of course, there's also the distribution school, which of course defines politics as based on its function in society. This group, you know, of this group that believes in the distribution school, emphasizes the fact that politics or the political is concerned principally with how societal wealth is distributed. In each case, politics is viewed as an activity. It probably involves the exercise of power, but importantly, it is an activity that serves a purpose, or purposes. Of course, there's a synthesis. Politics is interested in the reconciliation of conflicts in the society. Political institutions and processes are usually fashioned in such a way as to ameliorate, if not eradicate, potential sources of tension and antagonism in the society. It is in this government or governmental structure or institution that conflicts are systematically resolved. It is also in this governmental institution that most political activities are directed. Furthermore, politics is an activity, and thus the conception of politics as an activity is not misplaced. Finally, politics is also concerned with the distribution and location of resources for the society. Of course, this final definition, is put forward by David Easton, that says that politics is concerned or concerns itself with the distribution and allocation of scarce resources for societal benefit or societal development. But how this translates to how politics is actually played in countries, developing countries like Nigeria, seems to is still yet to be imagined. But the summary of all that we have discussed in this session, is that number one, politics is about reconciliation, institutions, activities, and distribution. Number two, that political science has close relationship with other subfields in the social sciences and beyond. The various approaches to the study of political science are all in a complementary relationship. Of course, it's symbiotic, that all the various approaches, complement each other, in an attempt to put forward, an achievable, approach, to our understanding to the study of political science. And that political parties perform a variety of functions in the political system. Of course, as we proceed in the subsequent sessions, we will get to see the roles that political parties play in, acting as machineries for the enthronement of various governments. And of course, the various theories on the origin of the state. Now that we have studied what politics means vis-a-vis political science, there are self-assessment questions that have been prepared for you to help you to, understand some of the things that we have said, so that you too can, on your own, assess yourselves and get a deeper understanding. Now, one of the questions here, which is question 1, is that now that you have completed this study session, you can assess how well you have achieved its learning outcomes by answering these questions. Write your answers in study diary and discuss them with your tutor, that is me, at the next study support meeting. You can also check your answers with the notes on the self-assessment questions at the end of this module. Now, question 1, define politics. What is your understanding of the definitions that I have taught you? Number 2 is that you identify the 2 significant contributions to the development of the definition of politics. Question 3 is that this concern for political institutions partly, resulted in the formulation of definitions of politics to reflect the concern for institutions. True or false? Political institutions represent the most evident demonstration of politics and the political. True or false? What are the different approaches to the study of politics? Of course, all the different approaches that we have taught you, we are expected to explain them, in this question. Of course, last were submitted that politics is essentially what? Interested in what and what and what. Now, politics is interested in the resolution of conflicts in the society. True or false?